Hello and welcome back to my channel, it's Crystal here. So everyone, we've got a trailer to look at, and this is the trailer for The Last of Us Part 1, and this is like a gameplay trailer. And yeah, about a month ago we got like an announcement trailer for this game. This is basically like a full remake of the original game The Last of Us that came out around like 2013. We did get a remastered version, I think, in like 2014, and the part 2, like the sequel, came out a few years ago, but now we're actually getting like a completely rebuilt version of this game. And the last trailer was really cool. I was really like impressed by like the difference of what they've been able to do so far. And now we've got like a proper like gameplay trailer, and it's about 10 minutes long, so I think this is gonna be more of like a deep dive. So I think we'll probably get like some voiceovers and some developers explaining a little bit about it, which is pretty cool. I quite enjoy listening to like the developers to see what they've got to say. So everyone, without further ado, let's go straight in and check out the trailer.
I'm coming.
More than 2 years ago, when we were finishing Last of Us Part 2, and we were working on those flashbacks within that scene for the first game, we got excited with the idea of like, oh man, what if we made The Last of Us Part 1 to look as good, if not better, than what we have done with Last of Us Part 2, which we really pushed the boundaries of like what we could do from gameplay and a graphical standpoint, and felt like if we do that, we could actually come even closer to our original vision of what the first game would have been had we not been constrained by technology.
That's the idea, I guess, of a rebuilt version.
The original creative vision of The Last of Us, I think in a lot of ways was larger than what the PlayStation 3 was capable of.
The tech of the PS5, it's like an open box of tools and goodies that we can play from and draw from. The 4K, HDR, improved haptics, 60 frames, help us to reimagine The Last of Us.
Oh yes.
It gave us opportunities to rebuild our characters at the highest fidelity.
Oh wow.
Not only are the characters more detailed, I mean down to the irises and the pupil depth. You know, you fall into the eyes of the characters.
So crazy what they can do.
Aside from that, the facial animation is just way more believable. Like all the nuances, all the little subtle reactions, glances, glares, right? Like you get all of it almost closer to sort of the original performances.
So no matter what, you stick to me like glue.
Yeah, I feel like we've had that kind of stuff for granted now.
Good.
Like the tiny little things you don't even realise you're seeing.
Have the highest fidelity characters in the cutscene, but also in gameplay. It's the same character, so now we can do these seamless transitions in and out. Every part of the game has benefited from seamless transitions and emotional scripting.
Pretty good, huh?
Our stories happen in gameplay, on a stick.
She knew my mom.
All this stuff is designed to keep you constantly in this world.
Riley, come here.
I love the like side by side that they do. I find it really interesting.
One of the things that the PlayStation 5 is really enabling is that we're able to have a density of physics objects in a scene that we could never do before. Like this has always been the dream, is to have this number of bumpables, chippables, breakables, destructible objects in a scene. It just makes the world feel rich, makes it feel lived in.
I wish we'd get more like games rebuilt.
The turret truck in Pittsburgh, when it's firing at you and it's just ripping apart the concrete and sending objects flying left and right.
Seeing things break, like there's fear, there's a real fear that it invokes.
And it's giving us a much more dynamic range of gameplay to play with.
It's going to be so good though, like I'm really looking forward
Our
to it.
AI tech has just increased incredibly. What we were building the basis off of was The Last of Us Part 2's AI. And it has sophisticated systems for things like the fundamental knowledge model of how these NPCs perceive and understand what the player is much more sophisticated.
Oh.
Now how the enemies are communicating with each other, how
I didn't
they're
even see
chasing
him.
you, how they're flanking you, how intense that fight feels. It's so much more rewarding coming out of it from the other side.
Not too much stealth there.
Get out!
One of the other big AI improvements is the buddies.
Oh yes.
The buddies technology that we developed for The Last of Us Part 2 has this very sophisticated understanding of like, okay, this is where the enemies can see their exposure. We not only have exposure, we have future exposure. So buddies can know, okay, that enemy is walking forward and they're about to round this corner. So in 3 seconds, that corner is going to be exposed. So I'd better move now to avoid this enemy seeing me. This really lets the buddies make very complex decisions
can't wait to play
maintain
this.
that feeling of stealth much more believably.
I love like the stealth aspect of these kind of
Another big
games.
enhancement to the gameplay is that we have this technology called motion matching. Motion matching is this technology that's basically using logic that tries to match the desired movement to a bucket of hundreds of animations. A mocapped actor has gone in and run this whole gauntlet of movements to get a really full set of all the different ways a person can move. And then
It's crazy,
basically every
like
frame
how
trying to find the
much
best
goes into
matching
these
animation
games. Like,
fits the path
I don't
of
feel
where
like
the
I
character's
appreciate
gonna
when I
go.
play the
And
games
this
like how
motion
much
model
like
gives
work
this really
literally goes
seamless
into
sense
it.
of transition. The player's movement is just a lot cleaner. It's this really smooth, organic movement through the space.
First, we just had to build that core experience. And then beyond that, we wanted to add several features that fans have been asking for. For example, we now have a permadeath mode. Along that, we've added a brand new speedrun mode, so players can time themselves. There's a whole community
Don't know how I
of
feel
gamers
about
that just
that.
want to see how fast they can play through this game. Beyond that, we added a bunch more of unlockables. So there's all these different outfits for Ellie and Joel that people can unlock.
Yeah, I
Model
thought
viewer
there'd be
mode,
some
so
more
people can really
like
appreciate
outfits and stuff.
details. We added award-winning accessibility features.
Every single accessibility option that we offer, that's a barrier removed for someone.
As she surveys the apartment, her eyes wander to Joel. She steps past the couch. He wears the wristwatch Sarah gifted him, which now has a cracked face.
To my knowledge, this is the first PlayStation game that has audio description built into the game, built into the cinematics.
That
Now
is
it's
pretty
nighttime.
amazing.
Joel stirs in his sleep.
And that's really the way we've tried to push the frontier of accessibility on this game.
So much of the identity of The Last of Us is the world.
We revamped completely the art direction. You know, everything from these expansive vistas that not only are they beautiful, but you feel the environments. You feel the environments in a much more visceral way. The rooftops overlooking the Capitol building, for example, like just the breath of fresh air when you go up there and you just like, you feel that sort of release in tension. And then, you know, to juxtapose that down in the tunnels in Wilds, and you get that dank, flooded tunnel feel, that humidity, you can actually feel it. All these environments are just completely reimagined.
Yeah, such a difference.
Now we got our engine on the PS5, those haptics, the 3D audio, the fast loading. It really creates a much more immersive, and because of that, much more emotional experience.
One of the things I absolutely love with the 3D audio in The Last of Us Part 1 is being able to hear an enemy before they sneak up on you.
Yeah.
And trying to do a stalker fight with the 3D audio is just
It's
so
really
much
scary
fun.
though, and you can hear and you're just like,
hearing them
oh,
skitter around
where
in
is
a
the
different
enemy?
room, and you're hearing them trying to get up behind you.
I love it, but it scares me.
Two-part reaction of like hearing, turning, seeing, reacting. It just really heightens that sense of just being grounded. You are in this character. You are
Yeah,
in this
it's
world.
really immersive though.
Now, with the PlayStation 5, the amount of control that developers have over the DualSense, it's really, really cool. All the guns in the game have a variable amount of resistance on the triggers when you aim them. The way it works with the bow is that at the very beginning, when they're starting to draw the bow, there's a little bit of resistance.
Yeah.
And then as the bow gets tauter and tauter, the amount of resistance is increasing. And then when you release the bow, you're also getting that resistance going out of the trigger.
Yeah, that's cool.
When you are aiming and firing the shot,
Nice bit of archery.
You're gonna get a haptic vibration on the shot, and then what I think is one of the ways that the DualSense really advances things is you're going to get a haptic vibration on the pump of the shotgun. And what's much more sophisticated about that on the DualSense is that in effect has a little like speaker in it, and it's playing an audio file that comes through in the vibrations, and those two beats is what you're going to feel on the controller.
Sounds good.
this also ties in to the new workbench animations. So if you're seeing Joel taking apart a gun or screwing something in or putting a new stock on a gun, that moment where he's like jamming that on, you're gonna get that haptic feedback on that. We have, haptics all across the board, for all the moments you kind of expect, for clambering, jumping, landing, meleeing, getting meleeed, like all those kind of high intensity moments we have represented in the haptics. What I personally absolutely adore is the way we can enhance the really quiet, subtle moments of gameplay. So it's like when Joel goes in to pet the giraffe, getting that little light touch on the haptics as he's petting the giraffe.
It's just little things like that that just make it
to me, that's
so
the
much
essence of The Last of
better,
Us.
like
It's
in
the
general.
high tension moments, it's the low tension moments, it's all of it feeling grounded. It's you're feeling immersed in this world. It's all about bringing you along with that story.
Yeah, that's what really helps with the whole immersion. It's like the little things.
PlayStation 5 is allowing.
Good old PS5.
Was that everything you hoped for?
Jury's still out.
There's something special about that core experience of playing as Joel and Ellie on this journey. Then to take that experience and really honor it and keep
It's funny how
authenticity.
part 2 only came out a few years ago and now we're getting the
Elevate it
rebuilt of
in
part
every
1.
way possible.
Interesting,
whether it's a pipeline,
timeline.
whether it's art direction, whether it's a technology, everything that allows us to make that experience better. Not different, extremely better. That's why, to me, this is the definitive way to play The Last of Us.
Looks very good. Cool. All right, cool. And as they mentioned before, it is out the 2nd of September, and it's also in development for the PC as well. Yeah, that was a really cool deep dive. I love the emphasis on the details that they've really put into this game. Just the immersion. It does look really, really good. And yeah, I'm kind of curious if I want to wait for the PC version though, because I just kind of prefer PC versions in general. But yeah, the only thing that could stop a lot of people is the price. I know it is going to be pretty expensive. But if price is an issue, I definitely feel like a lot of people really enjoy this version. Again, I love remakes and remastered versions of games. There's so many games I wish would be remastered that don't get remastered. And then you've got games like GTA, which are always being remastered. But yeah, I definitely feel like this remake, I think it will be worth it. Obviously, we won't know until we actually get the game and play it. But yeah, I'm pretty impressed so far. So do me a favour, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think of this trailer and if you're excited to get this game. If you enjoyed the reaction, please like the video because it really helps the channel grow. And for more reactions, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And that is all from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching.